We bounce around the NBA now. Celtics split the first pair of games, but other East contenders are playing as well. I'm Bobby Manning. We got Josue Pavon and Jimmy Toscano. Welcome to the Garden Report, guys. And we got to rebuild this hierarchy, seriously, because nobody's played in 4 months. We're getting the first few. Some teams are healthier. Some teams are rustier. We'll start with Philadelphia because we love them, right?
I'm putting them at the bottom of the barrel like I always do. I hate Philly. I hate Philly fans. I don't trust them. I don't trust the Sixers, and I especially don't trust them when it's just them in a bubble. I don't think they like each other that much. We saw them a little mini blow up on the bench there with Embiid and who was the other?
Shake Milton.
Yeah, exactly. I'm starting to wonder if Embiid just gets on everybody's nerves. Like, it doesn't even matter who you are. Like, you know, whether it's him and Simmons kind of salty or maybe him and Butler last year didn't have a great thing going. I mean, Butler's no longer with them. So I don't know there, but I will say this. I think the Sixers can easily be manipulated because I think they are not very strong together.
Yeah, like I got to agree with Jimmy on that one because let's face it, from the very beginning, your very best player seemed like he didn't even want to go to Orlando to begin with. I mean, the guy shows up in a hazmat suit. He wasn't excited about it. It was like an undersized hazmat suit, which looked even more pissed off about it with cameras in his face. And then now you have him spazzing out on one of his own teammates. I mean, come on, Joel Embiid. It's not his fault TJ Warren dropped 53 on your neck. I mean, not to say that Joel Embiid was the one guarding Warren, but come on, man. Like, obviously your frustration boiled over, and now you're making things worse. Like, listen, it's been a tough season. It's been a tough season for Philly overall, regardless of COVID. All COVID-19 aside, and you're making it 10 times worse. You're the team's best player, and let's face it, Al Horford's not playing any better. So what do you plan to make out of yelling at one of your teammates on the sideline? You know there's 25 cameras in there. You know you're on national TV being televised. It's just a big mess, and I'm not gonna say Philly doesn't have time to fix things, but I mean the clock is ticking at this point, guys.
How many bad things can happen in one game, right? Al Horford minus 26, TJ Warren, who is, the quote, I hate to quote Stephen A. Smith, but I think it fits, bona fide scrub, 53 points. And then
put some respect on his name, man.
I've never been a big fan of him. So he drops 53, and then their big addition, Shake Milton, who, I don't know how much Shake Milton you guys have seen, but he has 4 turnovers in the first half, and that personnel decision just blows up in their face. So it's from top to bottom. Everything's wrong there. I wonder if we've been scared of them all season long from a Celtics perspective because of the matchup. They went 3-1 during the year. At this point, with how dysfunctional they are, do you almost prefer to see them at this point, the way things are trending?
Yes, absolutely. I want the Celtics to put them underneath the ground so that we can see, not that I would like to see a guy lose his job, but let's face it, Brett Brown is out. It's a wrap for Brett Brown. It's a wrap for Philadelphia. Start from scratch. And the first thing you need to do, I hate to say it, but if you want some flexibility in your cap space, get rid of Al Horford. Find someone to take this guy's contract. Maybe Atlanta. If they strike out on Giannis, Atlanta might be down to pick up some contracts. Maybe you can figure out something there. But that's where you start. Otherwise, you're stuck with this roster for the next 2-3 years. Add the, sorry coach here to take over Brent Brown, and you're not necessarily fixing the problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's too bad. They definitely have talent on the roster. There's no doubting that. It's just, can they all coexist? It doesn't seem like they've been able to. Seems like they're a little mature. Al Horford, great guy. Kind of a silent leader type, but I don't think he's the type of player that's really going to, gather the troops together, right? I mean, certainly that didn't happen last year on the Celtics when everything fell apart in Boston. Al Horford wasn't, getting everyone together and singing Kumbaya and everyone was playing for each other. That never happened. So I don't anticipate
that's as tumultuous as it gets.
It was more money, more problems for him. I mean, it feels worse there than what was going on in Boston last year. It's probably close, right? Things were pretty bad in Boston last season, but Philly is just like, there's a new problem every single week there, and the response is always the same. It's fine. On the other end of things, the Toronto Raptors team, we all expected to digress heavily. I mean, I remember we were talking about, will this team make the playoffs or not this year? And they have played at such an echelon, 47-18, beat the Lakers, who many dubbed the best team in the NBA, by a handy margin last night, 107-92. Kyle Lowry still scorching
Beast.
teams left and right. This guy's unbelievable. Pascal Siakam might win Most Improved back-to-back years, which is unimaginable. This team, the Celtics have been avoiding them for years. I don't think they've played in the playoffs ever that I remember, and they've both been there the last 4 or 5 seasons. Now Raptors are the 2 seed, Celtics are still the 3 seed after today. The way things are moving, they could meet round 2, and I'll just start first. Like, I'd be picking the Raptors if the Celtics went against them today. They got the wings. They got Marc Gasol. Lowry is just, 33, 14, and 6. That's tough to deal with, especially with how limited Kemba's been. How much does this team scare you guys?
Yeah, they're a legitimate threat. I mean, it's sort of easy to look over the Toronto Raptors because, let's face it, I mean, between the Celtics and the Bucks and the Raptors, they're the most boring, quote-unquote, boring team, right, in terms of star power and having that guy to – Come on, man. I mean,
they're
like,
fun
we're talking
to
about raising
me. I have a
eyebrows
blast
here.
watching that team.
I mean, when Pascal Siakam is on, it's pretty attractive. But let's face it, it's sort of a lead by committee sort of team. So, I mean, Marc Gasol and,
they play
Lowry and Norman
man.
Powell, I mean, when they get going, it's all cute and everything, but it's just not as exciting as seeing Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum do their thing. And
You're a
it
homer.
has a lot to do with why people have the Bucks and the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Final. That's what everyone wants to see. But the Toronto Raptors are there for a reason. Look at their record.
Who do you pick, Raptors or Celtics?
Defense. Right now, if they were to play each other, I would pick the Raptors. But there's still plenty of basketball left here, guys. And whether we're talking about a Kemba Walker playing 30 minutes or playing 20 that we've seen, or playing the regular Kemba Walker freed of any minute restriction, I still like the Celtics' chances. But if that Kemba Walker is still limited, it's going to be really tough. We'll see.
You know who's boring to me? The Bucks. I think the Raptors are a much more fun team to watch. It's just they play up in Canada, and when Kawhi Leonard bolted, everyone wrote him off, and that was kind of fair at the time. We just assumed that they just lost their best player, and it would be pretty tough for them to contend or at that same level again, right? I mean, so I commend them because I did watch a lot of that Raptors-Lakers game, and it's like, damn, they are tough from like 1 to 5. They're big, and if we're talking about matchups with the Celtics, trying to avoid big teams, they're one of the biggest teams, if you're the Celtics, that you're going to play. So that is, definitely worrisome. That's worrisome if that's a potential matchup down the stretch. I'm not going to pick one or the other right now because, like Josue said, there's a lot of basketball to play. But certainly you have to take the Raptors a lot more seriously than I think anyone thought you would before the season started. So credit to them. Lowry gives me Paul Pierce vibes, right? Underrated throughout his career, not talked about a lot. He's a gamer. He shows up. He's stocky. He's big. He hits big shots. He won that championship after all those years. And I think Raptors fans think of Lowry the same way Celtics fans probably thought of Paul Pierce. So I'm a huge Kyle Lowry guy, and he's been there, done that now. So these Raptors, they know what it takes to win, and these Celtics don't.
It's interesting. Like, everybody's beating everybody this year too. Like, I feel like the Raptors kind of have the Celtics' hand. The Bucks have beat the Raptors twice. The Celtics, as we saw Friday, they play the Bucks tough. And then, of course, on the other side, the Lakers have smoked the Bucks both times they play them. So that's what's fun about this year. Like, there's nothing conclusive at all. I feel like anybody out of the East 1-6 maybe would come out and we wouldn't be, have our mind blown. So it's going to be interesting. Celtics, they play the Heat on Tuesday this week. Friday, they get the Raptors. So it's a big prove-it week for this team. We'll get to see all the competition in the East. So keep it tuned here to CLNS Media for our post-game shows, the Garden Report, and follow Celtics on CLNS on Twitter. We'll talk to you after the next game.
Yeah, but one last thing, Bobby, or I should say to Jimmy. What
What?
about Lowry, though? Okay, or we're just going to buy into what happened last season? Was last year a fluke? Because let's face it, before that, playoff Kyle Lowry was non-existent before last season. So we'll see. We'll see how he does.
But hey, I go by the most recent thing to look at. I don't go 3-4 years ago. I go, what do I have? What have you done for me lately? And right now, Kyle Lowry and company are playing great.
All right, we'll see how Kyle does without Kawhi.
We will. I'll come back on
Lowry.
this show after Lowry drops 30. I'm going to come back on this show, and I'm going to make you apologize to everybody.
If that happens, especially against the Celtics, I will be very surprised. Put it that way. Let's see Kyle drop 30 on Marcus Smart. Let's see it.
All right.